What's going on, y'all, and welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody is doing good on this Tuesday. So let's go ahead and get down. So of course I want to start this video off by talking about Don Lemon and Nicki Minaj, because they are at war with each other based off of the fact that Nicki came for Don because he was a part of a protesting crew that went into a church in Minnesota and basically was protesting based off of the fact that they had learned that the pastor was actually an ICE agent. And so Nicki Minaj went onto her X account and made some scathing remarks about Don, and now Don has took the time to finally respond to Nicki, and this is what he had to say.
Nicki Minaj and her response to all of this and the language that she used. I think it's interesting just because Nicki has been, over the last couple of months, made it clear that she is now publicly supporting, and I think maybe she has all along, but now publicly making known her support for the Trump administration and even the MAGA movement. The choice of words that she used to go after you, I'm not surprised she went after you.
Homophobic. Yeah. I don't think you have to black it out. You should show it to people. She called me Don, sea sucker lemon is disgusting. Look, this is what I'll say to Nicki Minaj. I normally don't respond to things like this, but F it. I'm going to do it this time. I think Nicki Minaj has made it very clear how she feels about African Americans in this country. I don't think she's one of them, obviously. And she should, under Trump's rules, she should be deported, because I don't think reportedly that she is a legal citizen here. She is undocumented. And so she has shown her disdain for African Americans. So why are you supporting her? Why are you buying her records? She's also supporting, I have lots of gay friends who love Nicki Minaj. Why are you supporting this homophobic, bigoted, ignorant woman? You should not be supporting her. Nicki Minaj, this is clearly out of her depth. She doesn't understand politics. She doesn't understand journalism. And I'm not surprised that she is weighing in on something that is beyond her capacity. What I will say to her is, because she put a doll, I think she put the Chucky doll in there, a better symbol that should have been represented in that picture is a pick-me doll, because Nicki Minaj is a pick-me. She will do anything that is expedient for her politically. And again, she's ignorant. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She's always weighing in on things that she doesn't know about. Nicki Minaj should just sit down. And by the way, isn't she married to an alleged? And she has the nerve to say something disparaging about something homophobic. I'm pretty sure that maybe that's part of the reason that she is cozying up to the Trump administration for some sort of leniency for her family members. And it's just very transparent. So Nicki Minaj, F off, stop being a bigot, and, get a life and some brains.
All right, so we heard what Don had to say, a very classy statement, to say the least, right? He got off a little bit, but I think that he was holding back somewhat, because I felt like he really wanted to go in. But when Don alluded to the fact that he felt like Nicki didn't have the depth or the mental capacity to understand what was going on politically, he basically was saying, Nicki,
you're a dummy, bitch.
Now, Nicki stood 10 toes down as it pertains to what she said about Don Lemon. She didn't backtrack whatsoever. In fact, she said, LOL, and I purposely wrote it that way because I knew that it would be the only way to get the sea suckers to post about it. They would have all collectively ignored the despicable behavior displayed by Lemonhead. I'm glad they're angry. They're about to get angrier. Now, on top of that, Nicki retweeted a post and she asked the question, true or false? And so I would like to take the time to read to you what she retweeted. And this says, this is the same man who goes home every day to his white husband, yet parades himself as pro-black, questioning black people's authenticity and telling others to prove their blackness while feeling bold enough to speak on at Nicki Minaj. This is an alcoholic who was fired from a 17-year career because of a long documented pattern of misogyny, hostility, and disturbing behavior. Multiple women, workplace culture where he engaged in aggressive, abusive, and violent behavior, including incidents where colleagues said that they felt threatened, intimidated, or physically unsafe. Add to that, he joked at Bill Cosby's victim and asked her why didn't she use her teeth. And yes, allegations of abusc toward both women and men have followed him publicly for years, especially after a bartender said he was harassed by him in 2019. Major anti-S awareness organizations publicly condemned him after he stated that black and brown JEWS don't exist, erasing entire communities and histories in one sentence, is something he was called out for immediately. Now, on the other hand, you have Trump co-signing a post. I believe he liked it and possibly retweeted it. Not sure, but he definitely liked it. And so it says, a small group of elderly ladies were protesting at a Plan B clinic. I'm paraphrasing there. You guys can see what it says. And were given 40 years in prison for violating the FACE Act. I would like to see the same kind of sentence for Don Lemon and the people that broke into that church and did that during services. Now, what's interesting about this dynamic is the fact that this administration is on board with prosecuting these protesters along with Don Lemon for going into that church and protesting. And one of the guys who spearheaded the protest, and William Kelly, he's basically saying, Pam Bondi, come get me. I don't give a F. So what I want to do right now is play you what William Kelly had to say about the situation, and then I'm going to follow that up with an interesting clip that details on how they plan to move forward and possibly charging the protesters that went inside that church. So sit tight and I'll be back.
Yesterday, I went into a church with Nakima Armstrong and I protested these white supremacists. A pastor of the church is a fucking ICE leader in the city. How can you be a fucking pastor and be a fucking ICE agent? They want to come after me? Well, how can they live so comfortably while the people from Somalia that are in this country legally, that citizenship, can't even go to their mosque and pray? How do they deserve anything different? Those Nazis. Come and get me, Pam Bondi, you traitorous bitch. All power to the people.
We will pursue charges in this case. I see various crimes that have occurred. Exactly what they are, I'm not going to flag, but the FACE Act has been mentioned as one of the predicates there. In other cases, the Biden DOJ used the Klan Act conspiracy charges tacked on to the FACE Act in the case of protests outside abortion clinics to bring much longer sentences. So there are a number of tools available to us. Who funded this? What else? What other crimes may have occurred? Was there a use of the wires or the mails in preparing for this event? Did anyone cross state lines to do this? All of those are potential predicates for additional federal charges.
Armin, I've just pulled up the Klan Act because this is the first time that I've heard this mentioned. This is a act that was passed in 1871, correction there, to combat the Ku Klux Klan and protect African Americans' voting rights, especially the Enforcement Act, which is known as the Force Act. So here's some of the information on screen. Would you mind breaking down for us, because we have just read the FACE Act and how this is an obscenity to the FACE Act, an obvious and egregious demonstrable violation of the FACE Act, because they were entering a place of worship, harassing and threatening. We just played a video of a bearded man, who was threatening to attack the Christians that were worshiping there. So it seems like an obvious FACE Act violation. But the Klan Act here, it is on screen. First time I've heard it mentioned. Can you unpack this for us, Harmeet?
Yeah, the Klan Act is one of the most important federal civil rights statutes, and it goes back to the time when President Lincoln emancipated the slaves, and yet the southern states, Dixiecrats mainly, were refusing to give them equal rights. And in fact, that you had sheriffs and you had law enforcement harassing the newly freed slaves. So the Klan Act is a law that makes it illegal to terrorize citizens, to violate their civil rights, to get together and conspire to violate the civil rights. It is often used against law enforcement, but is now used against others as well. So whenever anyone conspires to violate the protected civil rights of American citizens, the Klan Act can be used to bring a conspiracy charge. We, in the federal law enforcement parlance, call this 241 and 242 civil and criminal conspiracies. And so what the Biden administration did is, if three grandmas got together to pray outside an abortion clinic for the souls of the people inside, and including unborn children, they would say, oh, that's not just a violation of the Klan Act, that's a conspiracy to violate the civil rights of women going in there to get abortions. And so we're going to add additional charges and punish that more and make it from a misdemeanor under the FACE Act to a felony under the Klan Act. And
All right, so you guys just heard all of that. Now, there are people that are saying that this is absolutely bogus based off of the fact that protesting is protected under the guise of the United States Constitution. But I read up on it, and it might be a case against the protesters. So let me read to you all what it had to say. It said, you can protest under the First Amendment's freedom of speech and assembly, but protesting inside of a church during services is generally not protected and can lead to arrest, as churches are private property where owners, church leadership set rules and laws like the FACE Act to protect access to religious sites, meaning disruptions often violate laws against disturbing worship or accessing clinics. While public sidewalks outside are traditional forms for protest, once you enter private property like a church without permission, your rights are limited, especially if your actions disturb the religious services. So this is going to be an interesting situation, to say the very least. Now, I want to reiterate, I've said this on a multitude of occasions. I'm not on anyone's side here. I'm just here to report the news and be as factual as I can, and to tell the truth about the particular situations at hand. That's it, nothing more. But anyway, I want to hear from you guys. Drop down in the comments and let me know what you think about this whole entire situation. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and if you're new here, consider subbing to the channel. I'll get with you guys later. Peace.
Tough News TV. We out.